Hi everyone and welcome to the Nurses Hub. Today I want to talk to you about a really basic thing, Panadol, Paracetamol, Tylenol. Many different names. I'll rattle them across the screen and you might recognise them. You can buy them in the supermarket. You can buy them at the pharmacy, all over the place. General stores, milk bars, you can buy it everywhere. And so that's actually lulled people into a false sense of security that this is a nothing drug. But paracetamol is far from a nothing drug. Paracetamol is one of the best pain relief that you can take, and taken properly, and I'll show you how you take it properly. Taken properly, it actually provides really good pain relief. So, paracetamol, or acetaminophen as its drug name properly is, works, well, they don't really quite know how it works. They think it has something to do with the cyclooxygenase and prostaglandins. So, there's, and I'm going to shorten it to COX. Cyclooxygenase is just too big of a name for me to keep going on. So there's COX-1 and COX-2. So COX-1 delivers our levels of prostaglandins that we need for basic functioning. So COX-2 delivers a stimulus version of the prostaglandins. So if we injure ourselves, we have an inflammatory response and we have a spike in prostaglandins that are quickly absorbed once the inflammatory response is gone. And you've heard me talk about the inflammatory response. It's how the body heals itself. It's how the body generates cells and clotting factors and all of that sort of thing to the area that it needs to go. So we've got this COX-1, which is producing prostaglandins all the time. That's for the basic functioning of every cell in the body. And then we've got this COX-2 that delivers prostaglandins on a needs basis. So why do we need the prostaglandins? So the prostaglandins help in things like vasodilation and vasoconstriction. They help with the inflammatory response to get things to where they're needed to go. But in creating the inflammatory response, they also create pain. So there's a couple of papers floating around that are touting with the idea that maybe paracetamol has something to do with either the COX-2 receptors or the prostaglandins. But they don't know. They just know that it works. So paracetamol does work. So why am I saying that it's dangerous? Well, paracetamol has to be processed through the liver. And when paracetamol goes through the liver regularly, what they're finding is that the connections between the cell walls are degenerating. And this degeneration between the cell walls is seen in things like cirrhosis and hepatitis and liver cancer. They normally don't associate it with Panadol overdose or paracetamol overdose. But what they're finding now is that it's becoming more and more connected with the tests that we're capable of doing, that if you take too much Panadol, you're actually giving yourself things like cirrhosis of the liver and making you more susceptible to things like liver cancer. So when you take Panadol, there is a safe limit of Panadol. That's 4 grams a day. So normal Panadol comes in a 500 gram tablet. So you can take 2 of those 4 times a day. That's it. No more than 4 times a day. 2 Panadol 4 times a day. So there's also a thing called Panadol Osteo, which is not 500 milligrams, it is 665 milligrams. And you can only take 2 of those 3 times a day. And the reason why they're stronger is that they actually are coated. It's what's called enteric coated. So it might be called slow release or long release or extended release. But these Panadol are designed to bypass your stomach and release slowly once it reaches your intestines. But they're stronger. So you're actually giving your body more paracetamol. Now, some people say, oh, paracetamol, it doesn't touch the sides, it's neither here nor there, I take 2 and it doesn't do anything. You actually need to have, and this is the case with most drugs, you need to take 5 regular doses before you're at the therapeutic level. So I'm going to show you in a graph. Okay, so using Panadol properly. So what I'm going to show you is a bit of a graph. So here is where we're experiencing pain. So the first thing we do is we take a Panadol. And it gives us pain relief, but then it comes down again and we're back into the pain level. So what we do then is we take another Panadol and it gives us pain relief. But then we get back into pain again. So we're getting, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours relief. But what would happen if instead of taking the pain relief here, we actually took it here every 4 hours? So we would actually get a piggyback effect. And then we get to the next 4 hours and we would get another piggyback effect. And then we get to the next 4 hours and we get another piggyback effect. By the time we've actually got to our 5th dose, can you see how we're actually getting much more pain relief than if we just took isolated Panadol? And so basically what then happens is that we get what's called steady state. So we end up with this nice oscillating level of pain relief, well above what we could have achieved if we just took individual Panadol. And so have a think, if our pain levels were up here, we would actually think that Panadol doesn't do anything. But taken every 4 hours, if you notice, we're actually giving somebody who's got really high levels of pain good levels of pain relief. So why is the liver so important? So the liver has more than 500 functions. I'm only going to go through a few of them here, but the liver is really vital to our ability to live. So it breaks down fats so that we can digest them and process them. And that helps with our cholesterol. Too much cholesterol, we end up with hardening of the arteries and heart disease. It's triggered by the pancreas to release glycogen. And glycogen is then synthesized into glucose, which we can then use in our body. Now that's really important when we're asleep. So our liver looks after our blood sugar levels while we're asleep in conjunction with the pancreas. It also detoxifies the blood. So it cleanses of it unwanted hormones. It cleanses it of alcohol. Alcohol goes through the liver and the liver breaks it down into something that's not going to kill us, because alcohol is actually a toxin. Now the other thing that it processes is paracetamol. So without the liver, we take too much paracetamol, we can actually damage the liver to the point that it can no longer do these 500 functions. Now 20% of all liver transplants are from paracetamol toxicity. So I don't want to scare you away from using Panadol. And in fact, used properly, taken regularly at the intervals that you're supposed to take it, and no more than 4 grams a day. And for children under 16, it is less than that. Please read the labels. Don't just take them because you think that it's good. 4 grams a day, spread evenly across the day, and you'll get amazing pain relief. So Panadol can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Don't abuse it. Don't abuse any medication just because you can buy it from the supermarket. So this has been another Nursing Hub video. I hope you've learnt a little bit of something about Panadol. Thanks for watching.